Thanks for stopping by Dreamgates and Kaleidoscope Toy and Miniature Australian Shepherds. If you are enjoying the content of my videos, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. Thank you. Welcome to Kaleidoscope Toy and Miniature Australian Shepherds and Dreamgates Gated Horse Rescue. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be talking about pressure and release training and why it's used on horses acceptably, why it's not used on dogs. It's frowned on by the treat-only, positive-only community. And I'm going to show you why that's a shame and how important pressure and release training is. So this is my horse Magic, and we are going to demonstrate with Magic how horses are traditionally trained. Horses are not trained with treats and praise, although people, tend to praise their horses, but that's really not part of training. Oftentimes horses are praised like this with slapping, which is really quite painful for them. So if you're not just petting your horse, you're causing your horse pain. I don't consider that a reward for a job well done. But at any rate, horses are traditionally trained using pressure and release. Dogs, for hundreds of years, were also trained using pressure and release. The whole positive-only craze is pretty new. If you look at the history of dogs and their relationship with humans. So what I'm going to do is just demonstrate with the horse, and then I'm going to show you with the dog. So with pressure and release, basically, if I pick up on the reins, then the horse backs up because he's backing off of the bit pressure. If I loosen the reins and squeeze with my legs, the horse moves forward. If I pull back, the horse stops. Now, they're not learning from the pressure. Here's the pressure, and here's the release of pressure. It's the release of pressure that trains the horse or the dog, and it's just as simple as that. If I want Magic to move forward, I'm just going to squeeze with my legs and loosen up my reins, and then he moves forward. If I want him to turn, I'm using outside rein pressure, bringing my hand over here and turning him. So if I want him to move sideways, I'll just use one leg and move him sideways and releasing the pressure. When you're training, well, we're not going to go into the training of it. And then if I want to move the other way, I use the other leg, and he moves off of my leg and my heel and then stops. So this is the easiest way to train an animal. It's also the way that makes the most sense to the animal, no matter what the animal is. The whole treat positive thing came from killer whale training and dolphin training and dog and a dolphin, and if you can train a mini-ton killer whale to do tricks without a choke chain, then you can do it with a dog, blah blah. And there's a lot of holes in that analogy. Dogs, horses, they don't live in a tank, they live in the real world, and it's just a completely different thing. But those lines got muddy, and there are people in this world that think that dogs can only be trained with treats, and that's doing a disservice to the dog. So what I'm going to do now, I've showed you what pressure and release is on a horse. I'm going to do the exact same thing with one of these dogs. Okay, I have Shelby on a long line, and he just has a flat collar on. Now see, when he hits the end of the line, that puts pressure on him. He wants to go be with the other dogs. Get up, hey. And when I did that, he got up. I did that, and now he's coming to me. Those are just little corrections, little tiny leash corrections. I just didn't want him rolling around in the sand while we were making a video. But this is just a regular flat collar, but it's high. When you put a collar on a dog, it needs to be high, 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 right behind the ears. Doesn't really matter what kind of collar you have. Equipment, in my opinion, equipment doesn't train dogs. Trainers train dogs. But whether it's a flat collar or a slip collar or a harness or whatever it happens to be, it has to give the dog clear communication. Now here he goes. I'll let him hit the end of the line. Snap him. And then he comes back to me. And see there, I didn't even give him a command because I'm just going to pretend he doesn't have any commands. This is for training a dog that doesn't know anything. And one reason not to use commands when you're doing this at first is because your dog, if you've had it more than a couple of weeks, it's already learned to ignore you. So I snap it, he comes to me, and I'm just going to praise him. I'm just going to pet him. Now when you pet a dog, it's very important how you do it. Stroke your dog from the head to the tail. None of this, none of this, none of this, okay? This is how you praise the dog. All of this stuff they just put up with. You can also scratch them on the chest. They like that. Okay, now I'm just gonna wait and see what he does. I'm gonna kind of prompt him to walk off. See, he's already like, he already, now my dogs are trained. I'm not gonna pretend my dogs are not trained, but see, see, he thought about it right there. Now, you might have to do that many repetitions in order to get your dog to do that. But what he's learning or getting reminded of, he hasn't had any kind of leash work in probably 2 years at least. But what he's getting reminded of is if you hit the end of the leash, see how he doesn't want to hit the end of the leash anymore? If he hits the end of the leash, he's going to get that little pop. Now that little pop is not the end of the world. It's just like, whoa, like being jarred. Then he turns and he comes to me and I just stroke him. And I'm not going to say, Shelby, come. I'm going to do this until I know that he will come. And this starts to get him paying attention to where I am and figuring out that being close to me gets him what? Release of pressure. See how loose this is? Okay, so he just doesn't want to do it. Let's stop for a minute. I'll get a different dog. Okay, I switched to Storm because he comes with different challenges than Shelby. Storm is the kind of dog, not horse, dog. Good boy, good stay, good boy. Now see, he offered a sit stay, so I just told him, good boy, good stay, good boy, good sit. You know, reinforcing that. But this is the kind of dog that constantly wants to be up in your business, jumping on you, being held, being kissed, being loved, just sort of a bull in the china shop with all the other whatever's going on. He likes to be busy. Now he's a very loving, sweet dog. There's no malice to him, but he can be rude. So if you have a rude dog that jumps on you, you just saw how you handle that. We're good. Good boy. Good sit. So I'm going to see if I can get him to put pressure on the leash. It's really hard with my dogs because they all have some training on the leash. I don't really do much leash stuff with my dogs because they're running on 60 some acres, and you know, I train them minimally with a leash. I do most of my training off leash. But so if I want him to C-O-M-E to me, I'm just going to put a little pressure. I'm going to hold it and wait. Now he took a step towards me and then I loosened it. Now that's a common problem that people have, where the dog lays down thinking, oh, I'll just lay down and then they'll release the pressure. I have not done much come work with him because he's always off the leash. So we'll do it again, a little bit of pressure. Good, and then he took a step forward. Now notice I didn't say a word to him. Your words are useless because by now you wouldn't be watching this video probably if your dog was perfectly trained and everything was going great. So if you've been, you know, spot, come, spot, sit, spot, down, your dog has already learned to ignore all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach him through pressure and release what I want, and then I'll put a word to it. So I'm going to step back, light pressure. See, he's already getting it. So I'm just going to put, this is the pressure part. There's the release. I put the pressure, he brought the release. There's the pressure. There's the release. I bring the pressure, he brings the release. That is the very best way to train a dog. If you do there's no treats involved. If you do the table work, now there he goes, putting pressure on the leash. I'm going to hold it, and there he just released it, okay? If you'll do the table work, the impulse control, and I'm going to do a series of videos on pressure and release. I'm just introducing you to the concept, because in this day and age, if you go to a dog trainer, it's clickers and treat bags and all of this stuff, and you know, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but a lot of times that fails dog owners. Their dog isn't getting trained, it's just getting taught tricks that get it treats. So when I buy a trick, I mean the sit's a trick and down's a trick. Anytime you're feeding a dog treats, you're teaching it tricks. So what I'm going to do, put a little pressure, and there he released it. See that? Off. There's another form of pressure. Get off of me. So what he's going to learn is where I want him in relation to my space. This dog is a chronic jump up on people type of a dog, and if he wasn't constantly being reinforced for, you know, being taught or reminded not to do that, he'd just use you for a backboard constantly all day long. And a dog that does that to you is not respecting you, it's annoying you to try to get your attention. So what I'm doing is I'm teaching him a better way to get my attention. If you take the pressure off of the leash, see, now he's not even wanting any pressure, which is really good. Very nice. Then I'll just give him some attention, the attention that he craves. And a dog that craves a lot of attention is generally easy to train. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know that I've ever had a leash on Storm. I can't remember when I've had a leash on him. I've done everything with him off leash. I tend to train my dogs off leash because I don't need leashes in my life. So this may be the first time he's ever had a leash on. And okay, so basically that's it. Okay, pressure and release. Pressure and release. See how he's watching me? People that treat train, they're just, oh, constantly, let's see if we can get the dog to look at us. We'll put the treat on its nose and bring the treat up here and go like this and get, let me tell you something, your dog's gonna look at you when it's trying to figure out how to not have that little pop or have that. I'm gonna walk him around a little bit with this leash, and he's gonna be kind of all over the place because I can tell I have not had this dog on a leash. If I have, it's been years. So I'm just gonna walk a little bit and give him the concept of maintaining a loose leash. Nice. Okay, now he's wearing a flat collar, so I can tug on him. I'm not hurting him at all. If this was a puppy, I would have it on the harness that I use with the slip lead, and I'll show you that in a minute, how to do that. Okay, see, when I move, he's to move. When I stop, he's to stop. See where he has his attention? It's on me. Now this is very good. Okay, that's a good sit. So this is a raw dog being trained on the leash. He's been trained off leash, totally, no leash. So he's kind of like, what's this? So, okay, I'm going to move. I don't care what side he's on, I don't care. Now stop. Very nice. Very nice. And when you're first leash training your dog using pressure and release, you're really not going to go anywhere. You're just going to move in a small area, back and forth in a small area. So I'll just go show you one more time. I don't want to overwhelm. Get off, dogs. I've got dogs all around my cameraman. My hero, my husband. Okay, so I'm going to tighten it a little bit. Good. I'm going to back away from him. He's needs to come. I'll stop. Good. Now, I don't care if he stands or sits, but he's not going to jump up on me. He's not going to do that. He's not going to bite the leash. You see, he's focused on me, and I don't have any treats. I have no treats. Good. Look at how he's looking up at me. I mean, treat trainers, they try forever to get that using bribery.